Welcome to this episode of In Between Podcast. Today we're celebrating a huge milestone. Both of our boys are turning 1. We're so excited to look back on this incredible first year, reflecting on how much they've grown and how much we've grown as moms. It's been a journey full of lessons, laughter, and so much love, and we can't wait to share it with you. Let's dive into the highs, the challenges, and the beautiful moments that have shaped us as moms. Hey everyone, welcome to In Between Podcast. We're your hosts, Sarah and Celeste. Today's episode is going to be about our kids' birthday parties and what that's like with them turning 1 year old.
Yeah, so if you didn't listen to season 1, Sarah and I have sons who are 4 days apart. We were pregnant together, found out we were pregnant together at like a week apart, if that.
Yeah.
So together we've been on this journey of like them growing and like getting them to the first year and like the challenges and like how we've been together and all this and like we'll call each other and be like, is Shepherd doing this yet? Or like, is Daniel doing this yet? And like just kind of like supporting each other and like talking about like how they're growing and maturing and all that. So they're 1 and it's crazy to think about. This time last year we had newborns. Like freshly postpartum.
Yeah. I can't believe that was like almost, it's like it happened so fast, like this whole year.
Mm-hmm.
That's gone by so fast, and it's like, what? It just seems like yesterday, that we were just pregnant together. Like, what?
I know. Well, it felt like we were just pregnant together, and then also like we just had them, but it's been like a full year, and like how much they grow in a year. Like they're like these little bitty beings that like you carried around, and now they're like walking and trying to talk and trying to like get everything that they need and want and everything.
Crazy. Being crazy, you mean? Yeah. Get into everything, you mean?
Yes, that. Yeah. Because both of our sons were very early walkers and like crawlers and everything. Like Daniel was like crawling at like 5 months old. And then Shepherd was walking at like 9 months. 9 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
9 months. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. I was not ready for that for sure. That was one thing I was like, wait a second, you're not supposed to be walking. Like, we haven't closed all these drawers up. Like, what, or cabinets, literally.
Yeah.
Yeah. And definitely like for the head bumps, like you wouldn't expect, I don't know, I guess kids to be bumping their heads because Brinley was not like that.
Yeah.
Like she was more of a reserve, like I'll walk where I want to walk and like peacefully walk. But Shepherd's just like blah, 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 blah. Like he'll even like walk and like stumble and like hit his head on the wall. And it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Daniel, I've actually lost count at how many black eyes he's had. And like I hate going out into public with a black eye because I feel like I'm not a good mom. But like he runs into everything or falls down and somehow like hits his eye on everything. And like they've been bad. Like really bad. I just want to like put a helmet on him or something and like keep him safe and like don't hit your head anymore.
More like don't move. Literally. Please stop moving.
Stay in one place.
Yeah.
Yeah. So last year we had our newborns and now we're like, don't fall off the couch. Like I'm walking away for 1 second to grab your bottle and then like they're just like gone. Like, they just think that they can. They're brave, they're independent. They're like, I can do this. And
how we feel about that?
yeah. So the 1 year, honestly, like I was like pretty sad about it, but also like happy about it. I was really excited about his birthday party and like planned it all and like did most of it all by myself. And I just like really wanted him to be like celebrated, and I feel like that was able to happen. And then I really enjoyed that and celebrating his 1 year. One of my other friends, she always like, well, you need to celebrate. Like for me, this is my first. And it's like my first year of motherhood too. and like celebrating that for myself of like,
Yeah.
you made it your first year of being a mom.
Literally. Literally. Because, I mean, like, going into it, you don't know what to expect,
Yeah.
because, like, all the ups and downs and, like, just the crazy things that happens, or, like, you don't really know what to do at this moment, or, like, if they're sick, like, oh my goodness, like, what do we do,
Yeah.
All the things. And I think that the most things happen, like, within the first year as far as, like, learning and growing as a mother. And
Mhm.
it's just so important. I was gonna say about birthday parties though, like so many people view your kid's first birthday as kind of like a pointless thing, and I've always hated that phrase because it's like, no, like we're celebrating the life of our baby for the 1 year, and
Yeah.
whether it is for us or our babies, it's a great accomplishment, I think, because like we have made it to 1 years old,
Yeah.
and then it's like promises for like, I guess what's to come and like excitement for what's to come. Cause it's just so exciting, like buying those first gifts and like eating that first bite of cake or like devouring the first cake,
Yeah.
And like I'm so excited for that.
Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah.
like my favorite. I don't know, like Brilliant's birthday was the same way. I just love it so much, and I want them to just be great kids and like love their lives. And I think this is like the not necessarily like the main milestone for it, but it's like the setup, for
Yeah.
more amazing things to happen.
Yeah. Well, honestly, I was
Mhm.
that person that I literally used to say, like, there's no way I'm throwing big birthday parties for my kid. And
Yeah.
then I had a son, and then I'm like, we're throwing the biggest birthday party, like we're inviting
Yeah.
everybody. And I think it just like changes because like you love them so much and like you just want them to be celebrated, and
Yeah.
you want the people that love them around them and you want them pouring into them. And so like you want them to know that like these people around you care about you and are here, on your first birthday, of
Yeah.
course, but like they're going to be here, the rest of your life, hopefully supporting you and praying for you and encouraging you along the way. And I just think that's huge now as a mom, when before I was like, stupid birthday parties, like,
Like,
I don't know.
why are we even having these?
Yeah, and I was kind of like so cynical about them, but now I'm like, wow, like these are actually meaningful and like they actually hold like a purpose. And like you said, like, yeah, they probably won't remember them, but we will, and we'll
Yeah.
remember who showed up for them, and we'll remember the pictures and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And like that's so important.
Yeah, it is really important. And it's just so fun. Like, yeah, I just like the gifts. I love the parties. I love the everything. And I know that they both had a great time at their parties. So like, I mean, seeing that smile on their face is like priceless,
Yeah.
that cake down like on their face. Like that's the best part about it, right?
Yeah.
It's just so fun and just an exciting time of our lives and of their lives. But I was gonna talk about our themes to make it, kind of fun and stuff. Celeste, what was your theme?
So his name was farm, but not like red barn kind of farm. It was more like everything's green and like neutral because I'm such a beige mom. And so it was like all green or whatever and like white and or like tractor and animals kind of thing rather than
Mhm.
barn. So but I picked that thing because he loves to play with his farm animals and his
Mhm.
farm and his tractor. That's what he loves to play with.
That's
And
cute.
he's loved it since he was like 6 or 7 months old. And so I decided on that one, and he loves it still. And if you ask him what a cow says, he'll say moo. And then if you ask him what a dog says, he'll say moo. Everything is moo. Everything talks like a human. And one day I'll get past it and
That's
teach
so funny.
another sound. But right now it's moo. So
And he'll learn. He'll
yeah.
learn. And being a beige mom is not a problem. The thing that I did was sweet one or shepherd is a sweet one or something like that. And I decided not to do necessarily like a traditional like boy theme because I was like, this is his only birthday that I get to choose what he gets.
Because next year he'll get to be like, yeah, I want like dinosaurs or whatever. And so, since he's like so sweet and just so like cuddly and like gives the best hugs, I was like, he is so sweet. So I'm gonna choose like the sweet like cookies and milk theme. And
Uh-huh.
it has like baby blue, like beige and white cream, all that stuff. I made everything for his party too, so it was a lot of fun, like, doing all the different things. Like the cake was like white and it had little cookies everywhere on top. And then obviously just did simple like chocolate chip cookies for everyone. And
Yeah.
then we did little milks. So it's just a little, cute, easy theme that I'm like, yes, I get to do this one for myself.
Yeah.
Like I get to choose. So we'll
Yeah.
see what next year's is gonna look like. Who knows? Who knows
Yeah.
what they're
They
gonna be
might
like?
choose dinosaurs or trucks or
Yeah. Yeah.
monster trucks. There's no telling. No telling.
There's no telling what they're gonna be like.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm definitely feeling like I'm not a big crier. Like I'll cry at the randomest things. So I don't know what this says about me, but America's Got Talent, when they get the golden buzzer, like the big thing, I'm like, that is so good. I'm so happy. And I'm just not a big crier. And so I really didn't, I feel birthday parties are a different thing for me. I'm just so happy for my children, like turning this big, like milestone of age. And I'm just like so excited for the next chapter. Not that I'm not enjoying like these moments right now because I am. I'm soaking it all up. But I'm just excited for like what's he gonna do next, Like
Yeah.
what are these words that he's gonna learn next? Because it is so cool, like teaching and like even with Brinley, like just her learning to like draw her like lines because I got her some like workbooks for her to draw and stuff.
Hmm.
And just like the little things, it's just like, oh, you're so smart, like good job. I don't know, it's just if you're not a parent, like you're just gonna have so much fun like learning or watching your child learn and grow and like go on to the next chapter of life. And it doesn't have to be a sad thing. I know that it's a different kind of sad, not like a grieving sad, but it's like an excitement sad, I guess. At least it is for me. I'm just
Yeah.
excited for
Yeah.
them, you know?
Yeah. I definitely am more like emotional about it, but I think it's more of like I'm like happy to see him growing up and like seeing his personality. Like last year, like when I was pregnant still, like I was like wondering like what's his personality gonna be like? Like what is he gonna look like, you know? And now all those like answers, like questions are answered, you know, and it's like crazy to think about that like I didn't know who he was and now I do, you know? And one day we're gonna like learn more about him and like who God, you know, grows him to be. And it's, like for me, that's emotional to like think about like he's getting older, you know, and like he's gonna grow up, you know. And I think honestly, what kind of gets me is like he's not gonna always need me, and
Yeah.
that makes me like sad and like cherish the moments even more when I think about that and I remind myself of that, like in the hard moments, like he's not always going to need me to rock him to sleep. Like he's not
Yeah.
always going to need me to sleep next to him sometimes, you know? Like one day he's going to be like 10 years old and he's like, I'm going to bed, mom, you know? And I'm like,
They're like,
I don't need to get a hug, you know? Like, I mean, and these times are coming. And so, like, I think, like, you're excited for him, but then also, like, you're cherishing, like, the now moments of, like, him needing me so much and I'm like loving every second of it and
yeah.
like preparing, you know, for like the older him won't need
Yeah.
me.
Well, I mean, our roles as mothers definitely changes throughout like our child's life. And
Mhm.
it's so important to like evolve through those roles and not like
Yeah.
stay in like the baby stage when they're
Yeah.
out of the baby stage. So it's definitely like a sad thing to like for now, like they won't be like this forever. But
Mhm.
then like I think joy comes in like the next chapter as well. Like your role may be a little different, but it'll be just as good, you know?
Yeah.
Even when they are older, like I don't think you ever lose like that, like your motherhood. Like you are
Mhm.
always mothering and like caring for your child, whether that's like, when even when they're married, I feel like you still have a role in their lives. It may not be exactly what it used to be, but it's definitely like a huge part of who they are still. And that is just so important. Like to me, I'm just excited to like see how they like grow up, like what they're gonna be like. Are they gonna be like followers of Christ? Like I'm just so excited for
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Because even like growing up like with my siblings and just seeing how we are now, it's just so fun. Like we get to hang out, all this stuff. And it's just a good environment. And I just pray that like my children feel the same way and like when we're all back together again, like when we're older and just like hanging out and just having a good time. Like I'm just like, I yearn for those years and I'm excited for those years and just like getting them, to that point and enjoying the time until we get there. I'm just excited, you know?
Yeah, I definitely think you have like a different outlook on it, and I think it's a good outlook.
Yeah.
Um, I think a lot of moms, I
Yeah.
think everybody sees it differently and sees their kids
Hmm.
differently, but definitely we need to keep on evolving in motherhood, like where our children are. And I tell Brantley all the time, like, we don't need to parent the way we wish we would have been parented. We need to parent the way our kids need us to parent. And so, like, adapting, like, and understanding what our kids need at certain moments. And, like, now he needs me to, like, sleep with him. Like, he won't sleep by himself. But, like, when he's 10, he might need advice on something, or,
Yeah.
like, he might need encouragement of, like, more of like who his identity is in Christ, and like you're saying, like each one of those are so important, and
Yeah.
like how each one impacts his life so much, and like we get to be excited about that and like be a part of their life through all the changes and enjoy every milestone.
Yeah. Yeah. And then like that goes into like how are we praying for them? Like what is our main prayer over our kids as they get older or even like during this time? Like what are we praying over them for? Like what are we praying for them? And for me, I think that that's just, personally, I think that, me like what I'm doing on a day to day, like am I like showing them the word? Am I like acting like Jesus? Because like ultimately like they see you and that's how they like act, or they hear you and that's how they learn and get their growth from. And so like what are we doing, or like what are we teaching them? And one thing that I like to do is read books to my children, and I get a lot of them from Daily Grace Company, and they're just it's a good resource. They have a lot of kids books, and it just talks about like they're all Jesus books. Fruit of the Spirit. They have the Nativity. They have I can't think of anything right now. Resurrection. All the Jesus books. Armor of God. And anyways, but I like to read those to my kids, and they actually or Brinley has gotten a lot from them, and like or has repeating them and like Jesus died on a cross. Like that's
Yeah.
one thing that like she says and knows, because like during Easter, like that's all we read about. And that's what books I would get her and stuff. And I think that, one of my prayers is like to instill like those things in their lives, and like this is how we do it. Like this is what like how we're supposed to live our lives, and like I'm trying to like guide them through that. And I just pray that I continue to do that and continue to pursue it that way, because I mean she loves to read, so that's what I'm like using as
Yeah.
a outlet for them, I guess. And I guess we'll see what Shepard's like as far as like learning or what he wants to do. It's probably going to be very active, an active game or something. But and I think just praying for confidence, praying for fruits of the Spirit to live through them, and ultimately for them to one day like accept Jesus into their hearts and living it out. And I think next steps is huge too. So, just praying for it that way. What about you?
Yeah, well, I mean, staying at home with him is like the hugest. Staying at home with him is like one of the biggest blessings in my own life. And like I've always wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. Like always wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. Like I was like, that's what I want to be. When I grow up, I just want to stay at home with my kids.
Yeah.
And like, I'm actually getting to do that now. And like, being the main person, one of the main people in his life to like share God and like share the gospel and like to be that light is like not something to take lightly. And so like every day I have to remind myself like you're you're supposed to be showing him Jesus, and like how are you doing that? And like it makes me grow a lot. And I hope that one day like I don't think I'll ever just arrive to like this magical place of being like grown up. But like I hope that he continues to see like mom is still growing, and like I want to be like that and continue to grow in my relationship with God. But one of the I have like a few points that I always pray for him or pray over him. And it's typically when I'm rocking him to sleep because the child doesn't sleep. And so um, to stay,
Pray for patience,
yeah, to
slow
stay in
to anger.
a good, mental space,
Yeah.
when it's late and I'm tired and he won't go back to sleep. I like pray these things over him, and I always pray that he'll grow up to see how much God loves him. And I always say that one because like he'll know that mom loves him, and like he'll be able to like see that and like see me, but like I want him to have eyes to see like how much God loves him and like for him not to be blind to the love of God. And then also for him to be confident in who God made him to be. And I feel like that one's a big one because like God made him perfect, or like perfect in the sense of like how he made him. Like God chose Daniel to be Daniel, and like God made his personality, and like God's gonna keep on shaping him and like forming him into who God wants him to be. And I want him to be confident in that when he grows up. I don't want him to be wavering in like what the world says, and I want him to be confident in who God made him and how he should live that out. And so I pray that over him. And then I also pray, I think most parents pray this prayer of like him being a leader. I want him to be a leader for Christ. I want him to just like to be able to stand out in this world with his personality and who God made him to be, and to be a leader in that, and to show his peers that like God's love, and to be a witness for God, and to be a leader for Christ. Um, and then the last one is I just pray for God's favor to be on his life. And I think that one's a big one. And honestly, for a while, I didn't even realize that like I could pray that. But that's one of my prayers that I pray over my husband too. Is that like God's hand of favor to be on his life in situations. And so that's one definitely. There are a few that I pray over him
Mm.
as he grows and continues to grow. And so, yeah.
Well, I wanted to add on to a couple things that you said, like when you said Daniel is like gonna, or God made Daniel the way that he did or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just thinking like God made us like our kids' parents like for a reason. Like we are destined to be their parent, and like we can only parent them, like we're supposed to be like the ones to parent them well,
Yeah.
Like we are made for them and they are made for us. And after I like thought that, I was like, that is so true, because like no one else can parent my children, because like we have this bond, this connection. Like no one can parent them as good as like me and Nelson can. And then another thing I thought of, like when you were praying for leaders and stuff, just like our names for my children, like Shepherd and Brinley. Brinley is named after both of my grandmother's name's Brenda, and Nelson's grandmother's name's Brenda. And Nelson's grandmother is still alive, but mine has passed away like in '05, like a long time ago. But they are both like super strong leaders, and like very strong, very Christian, like read their Bibles all the time, just like amazing women. And so that's why we named Brinley, Brinley, because after them, and they're just so strong and like just great leaders, and then shepherd, obviously, like leading a
Mhm.
flock, or like taking care of their sheep and all that stuff. And like that just spoke to us tremendously, because like we want them to both be great leaders, and maybe in different ways, because their
Yeah.
personalities are so different. But I think that like teaching that and praying that over them is so
Mhm.
important, because I mean, ultimately making disciples is what we're supposed to be doing. And I feel like leaders maybe do that best. I mean, everybody does it good, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, we all want our children to be the best that they can be. And
Yeah.
that's like all we can do is just, be good parents, be good mothers to them,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah, and I like what you said, like we were made, like Daniel was made to be Daniel, and then we were made to be his parents. And
Yeah.
I always think about that, like God allowed me to be his mom, you know, and
Yeah.
like God chose me to be Daniel's mom, you know, and that's like such a privilege. And like, even like for our listeners who are listening, like if you're a parent, like God chose you to be their parent. Like that's such an honor that we really need to like wear daily of
Yeah.
like I get to do this, you know, like this is an honor. And I think sometimes like during the year, you know, this is a long year of like sicknesses and
Yeah.
teething and
Yeah.
blowouts and everything else, you know, and the long nights that you're like, I don't think my child's ever gonna go back to sleep and I'm never gonna sleep again. You know, you start thinking that, but like you should remember, like it's an honor to be a parent. You know, it's an honor to parent them well. And we don't need to forget that. And we also need to be praying prayers over them as they continue to grow. And really pray prayers for yourself of like, God, like help me to continue to grow as a mom. Like obviously I'm growing a lot in patience over this past year.
Mhm.
And it's crazy to think back at like what I was before I've really stepped into motherhood. And like I'm like, wow, I've grown so much, you know? And like kids stretch you, you know, they like either make the worst come out of you or the best come out of you, you know? And you kind of get the choice of which one's going to come out, you know?
And
And, that goes back to the fruits of the spirit, you know? And like, as parents, what are we filling ourselves up with? And are we allowing God to shine through us, to our kids? And that's very important. So, yeah. So, our boys are one. And
Mhm.
we're stepping into another year of motherhood. Second year from me. What, third for you? Fourth?
Yeah.
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 Third.
So
Yeah. Hmm.
next year, when we have another episode of Our Boys Are Two, we'll be able to be like, oh my gosh,
Oh,
like I've grown so much.
we'll have to do a flashback,
Yeah.
like of how our lives were then and now. That'd be
Mhm.
crazy. A
Yeah.
lot's gonna change probably.
Yeah.
Like, like,
Probably. So,
I guess we'll see. Yeah.
but anyway, thanks for coming along with us on this fun episode of talking about our boys growing and turning one and how special that is to us. Don't miss next week's episode. It's another fun one, and we're excited to get ready for the Thanksgiving season. So we'll see you next Monday at 4.
Thank you for joining us in celebrating this amazing milestone. We can't wait to see what this next year brings. We are so grateful for the journey and for all the blessings God has in store. Until next time, keep growing, keep learning, and remember, you're never alone on this path. See you in the next episode.